is Dave Wood. Which camera am I looking at, Jose? Is it this one up here? I never get used to this. I always want to look at my computer. There's just a handful of us on here today. The reason is, of course, because I just sent an email out like 5 minutes ago and I've not sent any texts. That's my fault. It's on me. I've been really busy the last couple of days and really particularly the last week with the email promo that I was doing. I don't know. I'm going to be just straight with you guys. I don't know if I have accidentally done a webinar over something else that's another team webinar or something like that as well. And so today I wanted to pull some stuff together for you that I didn't get a chance to, thank you, whoever just did that, that I didn't get a chance to complete. And so I've been sitting here and I've been working on trying to put together a fast start guide. The fast start guide is not done. I was hoping that I could get it done before I popped on the webinar, and it's not. So I was running into some snags with some problems in making the images look good and things like this. And so when I get it done, what I'll do is I'll do a video, and then I'll just, I'll do a video walking through it, and then I'll email it out to everybody, as well as give you like a download link in order to be able to have that guide. And what I'm going to do today, this is going to be a little bit more relaxed. I've just got like my jungle shorts on. I'm inside my house. Normally I actually like to do these outside.
Unmute yourself. Sorry, I muted you.
Oh, have I been muted the whole time?
No.
Oh. Sorry, I got accidentally muted out there for a second. So I'm in kind of my jungle shorts today. I have my, I don't actually like doing this. I have my windows shut. The reason is because in May, there's these like giant jungle bugs that come out. They're like this big, and they just swarm the house. I mean, they just swarm it. And so if I open that door right now, there'll be like an army of beetles that will like invade the house, and I can't do anything to get rid of them. I just got to wait until the next month when they eventually go away. And so, I'm kind of trapped with the stuffy air. I like having like open air in my house. I don't know about you. So tonight, first of all, I wanted to welcome you to this and just cover some basic stuff with you, okay? And then when I finish the fast start guide that I've been working on for the last few hours, and I've been thinking about for the last couple of days, when I finish that, I'm going to do a screen share. I'm going to walk through it, and then I'm going to give you a download link, because I'm going to show you how it fits into the process of starting your business right now. That particular fast start that I'm going to put together, it's going to be directly connected to Save Club, which I started promoting the other week. But you can actually modify it, and you're welcome to use it for anything that you're building. I really don't care. What I want to do in these Monday night trainings is I want to give you tools, ideas, and strategies that can help you really build a big team and improve your life and help you sell and promote whatever it is that you're doing better. And I think that if I do that over a period of time, that you're going to want to keep coming back. Even if this crowd is small, eventually it'll grow bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. We'll get to where we have 20 people on a week. We'll get to where we have 50. 20 is actually easy. I just need to email a couple of days in advance, because people have short memories. Every week I come on here on Monday and I say every week we're here at the same place at the same time. And then by the next week, everybody basically forgets because they didn't actually write it in their calendar. And so they need at least 2 or 3 emails in order to come to the event. And that's just what I've found personally. No matter what I do, that's always been the way that it is. It'll probably be the way that it is forever in the future. There'll probably be some sort of automatic notification system that I'll build just for this. Actually, I just gave myself an idea. I can just build an autoresponder that goes out every week and then avoid myself this problem of never notifying anybody. So I'm going to probably do that this week, and then I will send it out. So what I'm going to do today is, can you put that up so it's on the whiteboard? And then just if people, thank you. There we go. So what I'm going to do is I want to cover some basic ideas for you on the whiteboard. And then these ideas are going to help you to be, which camera am I looking at now? I'm looking at this one. Okay. So these ideas are going to help you to build a better business, and they're going to help you go from one concept that you're building to the next, and be able to build in a way that creates momentum over a period of time, right? So the focus is, again, right, let me write this down. It's going to be building momentum over a period of time. Building momentum over a period of time. Now, momentum is something that's really powerful because once you have it, right, it's really easy to keep going, right? So if you start building a business, it takes sometimes a little while to hit a stride. Now I can look at either camera, right? Look at this one still, okay, and this is good to the other thing. Okay, so what happens with momentum is momentum takes a lot of energy and effort to build, but once you build momentum, it's actually very easy to kind of keep going, right? And so the key is building in the first place, right? And there's a lot of pieces to building momentum, and if you leave any of them out, it just doesn't work very well, right? One of the best metaphors that I ever saw for understanding momentum is somebody painted out an image for me one time when I was in a very large meeting, and they said momentum is like a wheel, right? And imagine that you're driving like a very expensive car, right? I don't know how many nuts and bolts wheels have, but I drew 5, right? So no, that's 6. All right, so imagine that you're driving a car, right? The wheel goes usually in one direction if you're going forward, right? And the other direction if you're going backwards, right? In order for this to work properly, you've got to have an entire wheel, right? Like if you're driving a BMW and somebody just came and they replaced your normal wheel with a wheel that just was like missing a giant chunk and was shaped more like a piece of cheese that had a slice cut out of it, how long would your car keep going, right? It would take an incredible amount of energy to spin your car because every single time you got over to the section that was missing a piece, it would go clunk, right? And that probably wouldn't be good for your axle, and it probably wouldn't be good for the other parts of your car, right? So when you're building momentum, you got to have a complete wheel, right? So the wheel has got to be a circle, right? Now, in order to be a circle, the key to making this happen is very simple. It's one step must always build to another step, right? Seamlessly, right? So this is just like concepts for you, right? One step must always be, it sounds very simple, right? That's like a very simple idea. But in practice, almost nobody has a business where one step always seamlessly leads to the next step. And particularly when you're starting a network marketing business, filling in the structure of steps is one of the things that usually takes some time, particularly if the company or the leadership is just starting, because none of the framework for building momentum really exists yet, okay? So for example, last week we started running a promotion for the Safe Club team, right? A lot of people joined with that. Obviously, I would have loved it if there was like 3 or 5 times as many people that joined, but it was like 60-something people joined personally. And then there was something.
Sorry, there's something with the audio. I'm going to mess up. Can we?
Yeah. Edit whatever you want. You're going to do what?
Okay, check.
Yeah. Is it better now?
I think it's.
Yeah, okay, all right. I apologize if there was weird audio problems in the beginning, of the live, right? So you see when something starts going, what happens is that just not all of the steps are necessarily in order because the stairway is being constructed, it's being built, right? And so what happens is that when you're starting a project, I'm not a construction person or an architect, so you're going to have to forgive my very crude representations of how you're going to build the staircase, but you lay in a piece of wood there, right? And then you put a piece of wood in over here, right? And then, you kind of put in a beam here, you put something here, and then you're going to have to build the steps one by one, right? Now, that's obviously not how you build a staircase. I'm retarded, but not really, I'm not, but you get my point, right? So you have to first build the steps, but the key is actually in making sure that one step always leads to the next step until you get where you want to go, right? So here you have the top, right, which in the case of, for example, with Safe Club, it would be like having 5 stars, right, at the top, and that's where you want to go, right? So the steps leading to the other steps is what enables you to create momentum that doesn't break down. Now, let me explain to you why you want to have, excuse me, what was that? Let me explain to you what most people do instead of this, so you have a clear distinction, okay? And once the distinction is in your mind, you're not going to be able to erase it, but you still might not know exactly what to do with it. And so in this webinar, I'm going to break down with you what to do in order to create the step-by-step flow that I'm talking about, in order to create your complete, we'll call this the wheel of momentum. I'm just making this up as we go. Wheel of momentum, right? Because that's a perfect moment, or you could call this the staircase, right? The unbroken staircase, right? Staircase, right? And we'll talk about what these various pieces are that you need in place, and so you don't have like a giant chunk of cheese. If you weren't here at the beginning of the webinar, I explained the Chuck E. Cheese type thing. All right, and if you have each one of these pieces in place as you're building a business and adding the people into it, it's going to be able to take off and generate momentum in a bigger kind of way. So this is the mistake this is what you see the vast majority of people doing inside of network marketing. This is what people generally do. And it's not because this is the right way to do it. It's just because they either haven't had training, the companies don't have systems yet because they're brand new, maybe the teams don't have systems, or the person that's bringing them in, they don't really understand what they're supposed to do in order to build a business. So they just kind of this is what they do. They just, first of all, they bring people in, and they usually bring people in through some sort of a funnel that's pre-existing because they don't know how to do it themselves, right? So they throw people in, and then they get a, affiliate that signs up with them, right? And then the general feel that you have is they just kind of throw you out there and say, go for it, right? Okay. Now that's what happens most of the time around network marketing, right? So we'll say network marketing is the same as MLM, right? So this is what happens is people come in, they sign up as an affiliate, and then basically the company, the team, the culture, they say, all right, go. You know what I mean? And then they go and bring in more people, right? Well, the problem with that is that it really doesn't work very well over a very large group of people, right? And so what happens is that people, they get started, they don't get plugged in, and because they don't get plugged in and they don't get started in any kind of predictable way, the success of the new people is very low. And because the success of the new people is very low, it's kind of like you break out a piece of cheese in a wheel and then it just goes thump, thump, right? You're adding new people in and then every time having to restart again. So it takes exponentially, this is a key principle of momentum, right? That's very important, right? I'm going to write it all out, right? So it takes exponentially, I don't really know if this is really exponentially or geometrical, what it is more energy to restart momentum than to keep it going, right? So if you just keep momentum going, it is much easier to maintain momentum than it is to start it again and again and again and again and just hope and pray it takes off. Right? Does that make sense? Right. I hope this is actually conceptually starting to make sense. So we're going to go from concepts. I don't even know if I'm going to tell a lot of stories tonight like I normally do. We're going to go from concepts into step-by-step kind of building this into a framework. Now, in these trainings on Monday night, I like to bring this up in a way that is generic and can be applied to anything. And one of the reasons I'm doing that is because, of course, I've been working on starting my own company since last year sometime. And actually before that, so I've been working on building out the framework to start my own company, which of course I'm going to start. And so I obviously want people to be able to build whatever they're building now. I want the people that brought in Save Club to be able to succeed at that. And I want you to be able to succeed at whatever it is that you choose to do in the future, because I know there's going to be a wide variety of things that we represent collectively, particularly, right? So, all right, so what needs to happen with a person in order to get them going is an affiliate. When they get started, they need to be moved as fast as possible into a fast start process, right? And this is something actually a lot of companies do, a fast start process. This is actually what I was trying to finish before we got on the webinar tonight, because there is no fast start process in the company that I was promoting, so I was trying to build one. And I was running into some issues putting it together. Actually, it is building, and so it might be close. Let me just check on it. If it's ready, I'll show you, but it's probably not ready. So just give me a second to check. That is actually not so bad. That is not so bad. I'm going to have to look at this though, because it's got some things in it that just won't do. So yeah, I'm not going to use this. No, it did not work right. All right, so I have the general framework for them. I'm going to have to build it out, right? So basically, you want to, first of all, this is what the thing is that you do. So this is like internet marketing, right? So internet marketing is how you sell products and you bring people into your business. Now, the way that you do it is you do what everybody teaches you to do online, right? Which is generate traffic, right? Towards a capture page, right? And traffic can come from a variety of sources. Now, actually in Safe Club, they don't want you throwing cold traffic at their capture page. And I don't blame them for not wanting you to do that, because it doesn't work very well with their pages anyways. Those pages are not really designed for cold traffic. Those pages are designed for a person who knows another person who's inviting them to take a look at Safe Club, right? But they actually don't want it. It's against their terms and conditions. And the reason is because they don't want to get their servers slammed with junk email addresses that affect their email deliverability. And this makes actually lots of sense for them. But in case you're wanting to go out there and buy solo ads to that, don't, because number one, it won't work very well. Number two, is it's against their terms of service. So what you'd want to do, for example, if you were promoting a company where it's against the terms of service to send cold traffic and you wanted to use cold traffic, is you would build your own page, and then you would have your page with an email with a video from you, like a bridge, and you'd make a bridge, you'd add an extra step here, right? So you make a bridge page, and then you'd have on that page like a video from yourself, and then you'd have a button that went to the company or the Save Club capture page. And then from that capture page, they have a tour, right? And then from that tour, they sign people up, into a $20 per month membership, and there's like a $60 one-time fee, right? So this is where you come up with the affiliates, right? But this is not all you do in network marketing. This is what you usually would do in an affiliate business model, right? You would just send people at a capture page, make a sale, and move on and get another sale. But if that's how you're building a network marketing business, you're going to have a very shallow business that doesn't make very much money, okay? So what needs to happen is that when you bring an affiliate, the magic is in what you do with the affiliate in their first 7 days, right? So the first 7 days is really critical. Now, ideally, in an ideal situation, which we weren't really able to do last week because too many people came into the business in a week, plus it's new, so there's no tools really. All there is like a tour. The videos aren't that fantastic or anything like that. Now, I'm giving you an example with them because you're going to see, as we roll things out in the future, how to make things more cleaned up, if that makes sense. But what you want to do is, in the first 7 days, really you want to do it in the first 24 hours if you can get there, right? That's the ideal, is you want to put people through a fast start process. Now, the fast start process could function in a couple of different ways, right? You can have a video series that does a lot of the fast start process, but the fast start process really should include something, we'll say video series plus, right, like a document that you give people or like a guide. But really what you should do is you should have, and we'll say plus, you should have something like a game plan, right? So a game plan this is just something that just generally never happens, right? This is the reason why, if you have been involved in direct sales, and again, this is a series on direct sales and network marketing. I've been doing this for the last 3 or 4 weeks. If you've missed any of the previous episodes, feel free to reach out to me on Facebook or something, and I'll see if I can get you the replay links. I have emailed them out. but I don't know if the links are very public or if they're easy to find because I actually haven't been thinking about that until right now. And so what you want to do is when you get somebody started, really within their first 24 hours, you want to book somebody into like a game plan interview. Now, a game plan, they used to call that a game plan interview. You can just call it a game plan call. These can be done one-on-one, and they can also be done in groups if there's a lot of people coming into a team and there's just no time. One of the problems with doing one-on-one game plans with people is that new people that come in don't know how to do it and they don't know they're supposed to do it. And so a lot of times it just doesn't get done, even if you're talking about it all the time. But this is really where the magic of the fast start process begins. So the wheel of momentum, I'm going to write this on the outside and we're going to start drawing out parts of the wheel, right? So wheel of momentum. There's a handful of little, we'll say cheese sections, if you will, because it kind of looks like a piece of cheese that are necessary to complete it, right? First thing is you have to start new affiliates, right? Now the key to making a business work is bringing in a consistent amount of new people all the time, right? So you want to bring in a consistent amount of new people all the time into your business. You don't need to be like, you don't need to bring in like 60 people a week. I think one of the disadvantages to having a launch that goes really fast like we just did was you see the leaders bringing in so many people so quickly that sometimes what happens is if you're brand new and you only bring in 2 people in a week, maybe you feel discouraged because you only brought in 2 people, but the top leader brought in almost 200 people, right? So you're like, well, I only brought in 2 people, like how could I ever make any kind of money, right? So when you're building a business and you want it to grow really, 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 really big, you don't need to be a superhero, right? What you need to do is you need to bring in a consistent number of new affiliates all the time. And that over a period of like, let's say 5 years, bringing in a consistent amount of affiliates over a period of time will actually beat out somebody who just comes in and throws a lot of people in and then they stop promoting and go to the next thing. Over time, that will win. You will win by just doing the consistent game. So if you only brought in, like let's say you started, you only brought in 2 people, or if you started and you haven't brought in any people, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're not the number 1 on the leaderboard, although being the number 1 on the leaderboard is obviously cool. I'm not the number 1 on the leaderboard, right? But like, it doesn't matter. It's completely irrelevant to your future because if you can't bring in 100 people in a week, congratulations, your name is Mr. Normal or Mrs. Normal. It's fine. This is the way that everybody starts out. Most people, they don't start network marketing and go and bring in 100 people in a week ever. They don't do that, right? And even sometimes people with big lists don't do that. So don't be discouraged if you don't go knock it out of the park, if you're not a superhero, if you don't have a Superman costume in your closet and you can't put on the suit and the tights and fly into the stars. Congratulations, you are a normal human being. It doesn't matter, right? It's irrelevant, right? So network marketing builds by building momentum. Building momentum happens, I'm going to write this over here, all right? Momentum, the key to making it work, is getting a large group of people to do a few simple things over a consistent period of time. It's not actually doing everything yourself. It's not actually being the number 1 hoss. That doesn't build momentum. What builds momentum is getting a large group of people to all do a few simple things consistently over a long period of time. That builds momentum, right? Does that make sense? So if you don't come out of the gate and like rock it, it's completely irrelevant. Don't worry about it, right? What you want to focus on is your goals and then make a plan, okay? So what you actually want to do when you're bringing people in, how many affiliates do you want to bring in, right? How many? Well, it depends on whether you're part-time or full-time. I'm going to give a very simple answer to this. The real answer to how many affiliates do you want to bring in over a period of time is you want to bring in 1 to 2 paid affiliates per week, right? Now, that is for a part-time basis. Anybody can do that. Now, I would say that if you could, bring in 1 to 2 per day, obviously, because that's going to do it faster. But if you bring in one to 2 per day, it's not really going to be that relevant if you're not getting people started in a way that allows them to actually continue, right? So the key to making this continue is you got to, number one, bring in 1 to 2 paid people per week. Number two, you got to actually get them started properly. And if you don't do that, you're going to see your results go way down. So let me tell you actually a story. This goes back to my own personal experience in building a very large organization that spanned the world, right? I at one point had about 100,000 active people in my team, but we brought in hundreds of thousands of people, which is really like a medium-sized city if you think about it, right? It's a pretty large group of people to bring in, 100,000 people. I mean, I grew up in Fairbanks, Alaska. There's only 30,000 people in the town. That's actually a large group of people, right? 100,000 people is huge, right? So if you think about that, right, I don't have time to personally talk to all those people. I don't have time to personally phone call every single person in the organization. I'm never going to know everybody who joins name, right? It's not even possible. But here's an interesting thing that happened. A few years into building this team, right, I took a look at the top 100 income earners in the team. And I looked at where those people came from. And you know what's interesting? So without fail, it was like 60% of the people in the top 100 incomes, and it was a huge organization with a lot of people that had made money, like 60% of that group of people that had made like fortunes were people that I'd known personally 2 and 5 years before, and I had actually taken time with them to help them to get started in some business, whether it was this one or a previous one, within the last 5 years previous to building that team. So in other words, even though I had a huge amount of people come into the team in various ways, some of them was from cold traffic, some of them was from blogging, some of them was from YouTube videos, some was from just random stuff, right? All of the people that were making the most money were people that I had a personal relationship with, and I had taken the time to get to know their name, to get to know I knew the people before that business was even around, in other words. And for some reason, those were the people that were making all of the money. So in an organization that brings in 100,000 people, why is it that the top 100 people are all people that I knew personally? It almost doesn't even make any sense, right? Well, it's because part of building a network is building the relationships with the people to where the people actually want to continue working with you. Because what I found is what people say anyways is true, which is that people that work with you are people that want to work with you. They're people that like you, and they're people that learn to develop some kind of trust-built relationship with you, right? Does this make sense? If this is making sense, you can tell me yes in the comments, because if you understand this, what you're going to do is you're going to approach your business differently, right? Because let's say, let me project you out into a future here for a second, where you have got a team, whether it's in what you're doing right now or whether you're building something in the future. Let me project you out into a future where you're making $100,000 per month doing something, right? Would you like making $100,000 per month? Right? If you would like making $100,000 per month, you could put your hand up or you could type yes, I would like that, right? If you would like, I want you to imagine it, right? Imagine that you're making $100,000 per month. Later tonight, you're going to have to remind me. I'll give you a tool to help you think better about how to get to making $100,000 per month, to change your mindset, okay? But you have to remind me to do it later tonight or I won't do it. Right? You're going to have to send a message. If nobody reminds me, I'm not going to do it, even if I remember. All right, so this is what you want to do. You want to imagine that for a second. Now, what's going to happen is if you're making $100,000 per month, now let's say you're doing this in network marketing, you're going to have a big team of people, okay? really the minimum amount of people that you're going to have in a team is going to be something like, 1,000, depending on what you're doing, to 10,000 people, right? And really, it's probably going to be on the higher end of people where you're going to have 1,000 to 10,000. Now, don't get overwhelmed by that, because if you follow the steps and you build things step by step, you can get to 1,000 to 10,000 people over 1 to 2 years. You could particularly do it over a 5-year time period. Okay, so if you can't do it in 2 seconds, and if you didn't bring in 100 people in a week or 500 people in a week, don't make a fuss. It doesn't matter. Right? The idea is getting started and building in a consistent kind of a way over a period of time and having your eye on a vision. And if you do that over a period of time, you're going to be able to get the results that you want eventually. And that's the goal. So the first step is to start new affiliates. And the key is on a consistent basis. So you get 1 to 2 per week, right? Anybody, here's the key. Anybody can bring in 1 to 2 new recruits per week part-time. It doesn't matter if you have a highest IQ in the world. It doesn't matter if you've read 1 million books about how to market. It doesn't matter if you have a big Facebook presence or you don't. Anybody in the world can join basically any network marketing company. And Save Club is actually relatively easy. And over the course of a week, you can bring in 1 to 2 paid affiliates. It is easy to do. The key is it's equally easy to just do nothing. Okay? So if you don't do it, it's not going to happen, but it's actually very easy to do. Over a year, this is 50 to 100 affiliates, right? I'll tell you, building consistently, if you bring in 50 to 100 people over the course of the year and get them started right, it will actually beat out over a period of time people that just throw hundreds of people in but don't get them started right ever, okay? It will win. Because you're going to have something that's building continuous momentum, and actually as momentum builds, it begins getting faster as doubling periods go by. You're going to be building momentum that goes like this, and they're usually going to be going like this, right? It's usually what happens, right? Now, what you do, you start new affiliates consistent over a period of time, and then what you want to do is you want to start them properly, right? So how do you start them properly? Well, it's very simple. What you want to do is you want to get them plugged into the team, right? Have something like a guide that you work them through a game plan with, right? And the aim of this is to get a person started, right? Get them started. Because if you don't get people started, they just won't start. So this is the first cog that appears in what I call the wheel of momentum is that you start new affiliates, but you don't get them started properly. Now, the company could do a helping job with this by just having general systems in place that educate the overall affiliates, right? But you're never going to get the same kind of results just throwing mud against the wall and seeing what sticks as you are laying in the bricks to build a fortress, right? It's just not the same thing. And I think that you can relate to that with the metaphor of architecture, right? Let's say you've got 2 architects, right? Construction workers, we'll say, right? Actually, it probably works better with construction workers because it's more simple, right? You got 2. One of them is just, they're throwing mud into a field, right? And they're just seeing where it lands, and they're trying to get walls built up by just throwing the mud, and then whatever sticks, then they try to land another piece of mud on it and eventually build like these walls that form mounds, and they're trying to build a house like that. Okay, take that and compare it with somebody that, let's say this person's got a super mud machine, and they're throwing like 50 mud blobs per minute, versus somebody over on the other side, and they're just looking at a blueprint and they're laying in bricks. Okay, which house would you want to live in 6 months from now? Right, the guy that's laying in bricks one by one according to a plan, or the person that's just like launching fields of mud into a random field, right? Obviously, the person laying in the bricks according to the plan is going to build a more solid house than this person that's just throwing stuff, and they're hoping that it forms into this very strong structure and builds a magnificent house, right? Now, if you did the mud thing enough, it's possible that somebody would toss the mud in perfect formation and form a house just from sheer volume, or they would maybe make a cave house, right, on accident, just from throwing mud into the air. I mean, caves form in mountains randomly, right? So this is possible. It's just not very likely, and it would take a long period of time for that to ever happen, and huge amounts of effort, right? Over a long period of time, the person throwing the mud would put way more effort in than the person laying in bricks to build the house, right? I think you would agree with that, right? So don't just throw mud and then hope that it works, because it probably won't work very well. Then you're going to be frustrated and you're going to be like, well, this doesn't work, right? And if you do that and you say, oh, it doesn't work, I'm never going to be successful. And it's like, well, what were you actually doing? Right? I posted my link in 1,000 forums, right? I emailed my link to a list of opportunity buyers I bought off the internet, and nobody bought anything. Well, it's like, did they even get the email? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Do you understand? You don't want to be somebody that just is randomly throwing shiz out there and hoping it builds this giant fortress. And this is what makes it to where people feel stuck inside network marketing, is it feels like there's no game plan, like they're just randomly taking actions, and the actions, they're not leading anywhere. And of course, because they have no plan and they're not following a structure, right? Does that make sense? And most things in life that you do well have a plan and they have a structure. I mean, if you want to be an engineer, you don't just usually pull out some, sheets of paper and start engineering. I mean, you got to go learn, algebra and calculus 1 through 3, and you've got to learn physics. There's a step-by-step game plan to be able to get there. In network marketing, you got to be able to learn how to generate the right kinds of quality traffic to either the company page or bridge page, to capture them, bring them on a tour, to make a sale, right? And we'll talk about how to do that. There's very simple steps, right? Here on the call. And then you get a new affiliate. The next step that you lay out is you say, hey, I want you to plug into, we're going to go through this guide together. I want you to plug into the groups. I want you to plug into the team webinars we got on Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And here, let's walk through your game plan, and let's identify what resources you have in order to get your business started right now. Okay? And so this is a major problem that people have individually and also in teams, is that the way that you start a business and the way that you continue to grow it evolve, right? See, when you start a business, the way you start a business every single time is you've got to start a business with the resources that you have right now. Okay? So there's how you start, right? And then it's how you evolve, right? So the way that you start is resources that you have right now, right? Resources that you have right now. The way that you evolve is skills, right? Skills could be, for example, learning how to generating inbound interest by putting out high quality, value-based content that targets a certain market over a consistent period of time. Right? It could be learning how to write articles that attracts inbound flow. It could be learning how to network and build relationships with people that are outside your current sphere of influence, right? This is skills. So the way that you start right now is just whatever resources you have to start at the moment. That's always where you begin. The reason you begin there is that's the only place that you can get results in the next week, right? You can't imagine skills into existence that don't exist yet and then expect to get some sort of results from those when you're just starting a brand new business. You have to start with the resources that you have available right now. Okay? So normally what fast start processes do is they get people to plug into the resources that they have right now. Now resources, current resources, right? They could be things like lists, right? Of contacts, right? A contact list that you have. This could be like, these go in a few categories, right? So contact lists, for example, you could have email contacts. You could have people in your phone, right? You could have people on Facebook, right? These are all various list that you have. They could be people on, we'll just put Facebook and social media, right? So social could include, sorry, the spelling there. I'm writing, like over like this with the marker, so it looks retarded. But in any case, right, social media could be, TikTok. This could be Instagram. This could be, whatever else people are going to use tomorrow, right? Because what we know, the younger generation always goes to the new hotter things, right? And the older generation, what they do is they start at the new hotter thing when they're younger, and then when they're older, they just kind of stick at the thing that was popular like 20 years ago, right? They very, very rarely change, right? So I'm still on Facebook because that's what I started with in 2009. And you know what I mean? So people get stuck in their ways, right? And the rule of thumb for meeting new people is, rather than trying to just bring people to you all the time, you want to learn how to go where the people are already. Does that make sense? You want to go where people already are. So are there people, for example, on YouTube, on Rumble, on places like this? If you have a strategy that's delivering value, you just want to bring the value to wherever the crowds of people are. And if you have a crowd of people on Facebook, then give the value there. If a lot of people are using YouTube, you want to give the value on YouTube in a way that attracts the people to you. If a lot of people are joining TikTok or the hot new social media, you want to just go wherever the people are going and give value there, right? So go where they're going and give value there. And if you do that, the methodology of giving value is going to change over a period of time. But what you're going to do is you're going to end up building a consistently growing sphere of influence, even if you never hit it out of the park, you never go viral, you never have any magical video that gets 10 million views or anything like that. If you just consistently will give value in the mediums where people are and that are growing, you're going to end up building a sphere of influence, particularly over 90 days, over 6 months, over 9 months, over a year, right? And when you build a sphere of influence wherever you go, right, what that allows you to do is it allows you to have a lot more resources whenever you're starting something in the future. If you launch, for example, a course, or if you launch an ebook, or if you launch a new business and a new network marketing company, the larger the group of resources that you have when you launch that new thing, the better the results are that you're going to get in that new thing. Does that make sense? So you want to constantly be building out your level of social resources. Your level of social resources comes from your exposure size and your reach, if that makes sense, right? And this takes time. You don't want to think about building a business like you're like hitting a home run out of the park, right? It's like if you never swing the bat at all because you're looking for that magic moment when you can get a home run, you don't gain the requisite skill or practice in order to hit the home run when the opportunity then arises, if that makes sense. So the first rule is you just got to swing a lot, right? You got to swing a lot. And sometimes the unfortunate thing that we go through, but it's actually fortunate, is swinging a lot sometimes means missing a lot as well. Right? It means that 7 out of 10 times we actually miss, right? And that's okay, because if you never swing and you never miss, you can never hit a home run in the first place, right? But does that make sense? You got to get out there and you got to get started. So this could be the resources that you have right now is how you get started. So this is like the next cog in the wheel, right? So start them properly, right? Now, the next part is to plug them in, right? Plug them in, right? Now, there's a variety of things that you do. You do this when you're getting people started, right? Like, I made a makeshift thing the other week. I put something together very quickly because I knew I needed something. So what I did was I put together like a 14-day email series, right? That just whenever somebody joins the team, what I do is, every day or two I take the list and I have to upload it manually in my autoresponder. And I upload it, and it starts a 14-day series that tells them basically what to do, right? And you guys are probably getting that series, and it might just be an overflow of emails that's going out because, again, it was very makeshift. I put it together very quickly, right? But the point is that I took my lists, and then I send emails out, and it tells you, join a Facebook group, get on the company webinars, right? This kind of thing, right? So you want to plug people in to the system, right, that is overarching on top of what it is that you do. Right. The next thing is, right, is you want to have tools that people use, right? So tools, we'll say tools, systems, and third party, right? These are things that you want to have in place in order to allow people to build a business, right? Tools, systems, third party, structures. Third party is just something that's not you, right? So third party is that rather than you trying to explain to people how the business works, rather than you trying to explain to people how to get started every single time, rather than you have to explain the comp plan over and over and over again, right? You have a document that explains the comp plan and you just email them that. You have the company owner talking about the vision and you just email them that to find out about the company. You have a presentation tool, a presentation video that you email them if they want to see a presentation of the company and you just send that to them. Or you have some slides. And rather than needing to, be able to draw on a whiteboard and paint an elaborate training like I'm doing right now, you don't need to be able to do this. What you do is you take the slides and you just go through and you read the slides and you do a presentation, and then after you do the presentation, you ask them if you'd like to join, right? Or you send them on the tour and you say, go to the tour, right? So third party is anything but you, okay? Anything but you, right? So we can even say this, so anything but you, right? Now the reason we use third party a lot is because if you are the message all the time, then it takes a lot of work and it gets a lot less good results, right? You don't want to be the message all the time. You don't want to be the center of attention all the time. You don't want to be in every presentation that ever happens in your team because you only got so much time in the day. And the whole idea is to get people doing work that doesn't involve you being there and hand-holding them, because otherwise you may as well just have a job or something like that. Does that make sense? So you want to send people to third-party tools, third-party systems, third-party events. An event could be third-party. So an event is third-party. Like, for example, this training here tonight, for me, is not third-party, right? Because I'm the one that's doing the training, right? Does it make sense? It's not third-party. It's not third-party for me. Right? But if you invited somebody to the training, this would be a third-party event for you, because I am a third-party expert that you don't have to be the expert in that context. So if you say, hey, I want you to come to this training on Monday night, and you bring somebody to the training, right? You have a third party, me in this case, that's doing the training. So again, this is not third party for me. This would be third party for you. Does this distinction make sense? Right? Third party is powerful because people, like a good example is last week, I brought on Pete Delmonico, right? Some of you were there on that webinar, and I also emailed it out, right? Pete came on and gave a third party, testimonial and vision for the company the other week, right? So that was somebody other than me, right? He hit the 5-star rank in the company the other week. Somebody other than me coming on to do training. That's what third party is. It's somebody other than you. Now, if you don't have third party stuff going on, again, this is just another missing cog in the wheel. The benefit of third party is anybody can do that. See, anybody can invite somebody to a meeting. Anybody can invite somebody to watch a presentation. Anybody can take presentation slides and they can read them to people, even if they don't do a very stellar, charismatic job. Actually, it is pretty irrelevant when you're doing a presentation with slides how charismatic you are if you just follow the structure. The idea of slides is that it takes the requisite of charisma from you have to be charismatic, because one thing that I have is an advantage and a disadvantage. I'm very charismatic, right? I've had people tell me that since I've been very young, right? I'm a very charismatic individual. I can get in front of a crowd and I'm very good in front of people and things. And the bigger the crowd, the easier it is for me to just turn on, right? I'm very charismatic. Not everybody's charismatic. So the charisma requirements go way down if the availability and the systems and tools go up, right? So this is another thing that you need in the wheel. The next thing that you need is culture, right? Culture is really, we'll just put like social rules, right? Social rules, and structures, right? So this is really what culture is, right? There's two words there, just culture, right? Culture. So a culture, the best examples of cultures, and I just still have not found better examples. Network marketing actually creates fantastic cultures. They're like religious organizations do the best job at this, right? And they do a bad job too, depending on which one you go. But they actually do the best job of creating culture of any kind of other organization, right? Because what they do is they have a culture of like, come to church every week, pay 10% of your income, right? Listen to the pastor and take notes. You know, they have a series of rules and things that they do together that keeps them in a circle. Actually, probably the best cultures I've seen in religion have been like the Jews. You have Islam. They're just, regardless of whether these things are true, they do a fantastic job keeping very, very, very large groups of people together. The Mormon Church, you know, I've been around. You know, so it's like groups of people that they have rules. You know, show up on Sunday, follow these commandments, listen to the teachers, and they're going to guide you on the correct path, right? And they keep these very large groups of people all doing the same thing together over hundreds of years, thousands of years, and the people are still following the steps. That's what culture is, okay? So culture actually really, it develops from societies and religions, but this is interesting to study. So an example of a culture could be, for example, right, once a week we do a meeting, okay? Every week we do a meeting together, right? Our team does a meeting every week, and that's part of the culture. We go to all the company events. That's part of the culture, right? We all use the same presentation to stay unified. That's part of the culture. That's also part of the third-party tools, because if everyone does the same presentation, there could be a meeting in Florida, a meeting in Alaska, and each one could invite prospects to each other, and you know those people are going to be taken care of in the same way, right? So that systemic unity creates an ability to grow a business that extends beyond your personal ability and your personal sphere of influence, and that's the way that you really put things together, right? So I'll give you an example. You got to ask yourself the question, does what you're doing have the ability to work, you know, 3 states away, right? Maybe 500 miles away or 1,000 miles away, you know, 5 levels down with somebody you never knew came into your team, right? Does what you're doing have the ability to work through these removed circles of people? If the answer is no, it will never get that big, right? Because in order to get that big, what you're doing has to be able to duplicate outside of a very little sphere of influence, right? What's something that could duplicate outside the sphere of influence? It could be just invite people every single... How do you get to 1 or 2 people per week coming in? Invite 10 to 20 people into the preview every week. Invite 2 people per day to take a look at the preview, right? And anybody can do that. Well, you say, well, what then? Well, just invite them to go through the tour, go through the free tour, get involved in the process. Just 2 people per day. You say, well, that's hard too. It's actually not. It probably would take you really, I think anybody here could do that in 1 to 2 hours of work. But that's an example of something to do, right? Hold on. You invite 1 to 2 people per day into the free tour. That's it. If you invite 1 to 2 people per day, over the week you've invited 7 to 14 people. Out of 7 to 14 people, it's actually very likely that you would have, if they actually enroll for the free tour, it's very likely that you're going to get at least 1/5 of them to upgrade. Probably. Okay? Depending on where they come from. If they're personal invitations, it'd probably be as high as 1/3. If the invitation quality is down, it's going to be something like 20%. Okay? So if you get 14 people in there, you're going to get about 3 people that upgrade. Well, that's right along with the numbers that I just painted out. It's actually not very hard at all. That's not very complicated at all. That's not very technical at all. You don't have to understand all these things, right? It's simple. Anybody could do it. You could do that 5 states away. You could do that 5 levels down. You could do that 500 kilometers removed. You could do that in any country, and you could do it if the tools were there. In Spanish, you could do it in Spanish. If they're there in Portuguese, you could do it in Portuguese. If they're there in French, you could do it in French, right? All you do is, like, if you don't speak French, you just go use Google Translate and say, here, I'm going to send you a message, and then you send them to the French page. And it still works. It works in any language. It works in any culture. All you have to have is the tools. That's why tools and systems are so powerful, whereas if you build your business around personalities, it's going to be clunky. You're going to have a wheel that can't, it's go, right? That makes sense. It's going to take way more energy to keep the wheel turning because it's clunking every time it spins. Does this make sense to you? You have to have these pieces together. If you don't have these pieces together, it's not really going to work. It's not going to really build anything magnificent, right? So this is where we get into the big things, which is like, you have, these are parts of the culture really, but you have like we'll say events and mentors, right? So an event and mentor, this is something that you do to get unstuck, right? It's also something you do to build momentum. Because the key to making the staircase work is after you move somebody into one step, there's another bigger step. That's the key to making it work, right? So the key is, the first step is you make an invitation and you invite 2 to 3 people per day into the tour, right? That's a very simple thing to do. Then the next step is you sign up, right? You sign up an affiliate, right? Or a customer, right? Everybody wants to save money, right? That kind of thing. The next step is you do a game plan, right? And again, I'm going to have a document for this. I just have to finish it and then I'll email it out. It might take me 1 or 2 days because I was trying to finish it tonight and it just was not coming out the way that I wanted it to come out, right? So, but it's getting closer because I've got the structure of it and everything like that, right? So you do a game plan, right? And then what do? You plug them from the game plan into, for example, the weekly close, right? So this is just another step, right? This is like, so a Safe Club, for example, they have a weekly step. That's every Friday, the timer closes, and if you don't lock in by Friday, you lose your spot, essentially, and goes down to the bottom, right? So people that would have been underneath you now get placed above you because you didn't lock in before the timer ran out. Now, the reality behind that is some people are going to get spillover and some people are not. That's the way that thing works, right? But the weekly close gives you a powerful tool, right? So the weekly close could actually be like, invite 2 to 3 people per day, right? We could even put this out of order because it doesn't really matter what order these things happen. These things are all kind of happening at once. We'll say weekly close, right? Sign up affiliates. All right, you have a game plan. You have plug them into the system. And this is the team, the power of the team, right? And then you have the events, right? And from this, at the top, you're going to be producing leaders, right? And what the leaders do is they get large groups of people to go back and repeat this process. That's it. If you do this, if you just follow this structure, this is actually pretty simple what I laid out. Actually, maybe this is a brain dump for you. You're like, oh my gosh, there's a lot. But actually, this is actually very simple what I just described for you to do, right? If you just will bring people in every single week, sign them up as affiliates, run them through a fast start process and get them plugged in, and then continue bringing people in and getting them to do that over a period of time, that will build momentum because you've got all the pieces in the wheel of momentum filled out, right? There's nothing that's missing. And the key is that if you identify something that's missing, right, something that you're having to restart over and 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 over again, you want to ask yourself, how do I solve that issue systemically so it doesn't continue happening again? And then once you solve it, you want to fill in that piece of the wheel of momentum. And then you have a smoother wheel. When this wheel is all filled out, right, what happens is new people that get started get taken care of. What happens is the prospects that come in get taken care of. And what happens is that as people are coming in, it's producing greater and greater and greater levels of leadership as we go into the future. And that's the basics of how you grow a very big network marketing organization, right? I hope that this helped you tonight. I was going to do something slightly different, but my original plan wasn't finished in time. And so I think that this one was actually quite good. This was kind of a high-level overview of how to build the team, how to build an organization. There's a lot of things that we didn't talk about here. Like we didn't really talk specifically about, for example, how to do a game plan with people. We didn't really talk about that. Really, the way that you do a game plan with people, I'll explain it in the nutshell version. This is part of the culture and it's part of a system. So there needs to be like maybe a video. It could be a single video telling people what to do, right? And then like a document with the game plan in it, right? And then you just take people and you walk them through it and you get them commit to do that. That's it. It seems like maybe that seems like some sort of mysterious thing because I didn't really cover it, but I didn't cover it because I don't have a document to give you, right? So it's like what you do is you get people started. You say, here, there's 2 steps. I want you to go watch this video, and then I want you to call me back and I have a document that we're going to go through and we're gonna set some goals. And the document should have them set goals. Right? Find out what they really want, like why they're really in a business, right? It should identify what their resources are that they have available to start their business, make a game plan to get started, and then get them into action in their first 24, 72 hours. From that game plan, they should come out and they should be taking action, and that action should result in them getting some signups if they do it. So the basics of a game plan are like in your first 72 hours, right? I could tell you what, like, for example, what to do. In your first 72 hours, the way that you want to start is you want to invite 100 people to take a look at the tour, right? That's how it works in Safe Club. Now, if you were something else, then you would do it a slightly different way. But like it's in a very short period of time, like in 2 to 3 days, invite 100 people to take a look. To say, hey, will you take a look at this? Right? You can invite people by making a video and then saying, give me the information in the comments if you're interested. And then follow up individually with those people. That's on social media. You don't want to post your link publicly because it doesn't work anyways, right? If you make a post and you say, I have the hottest thing in the world, here's my link, it just will never sign up anybody. Nobody will ever join from that. So you make a post, having people request you for information, then you follow up with people in the comments. That might get you 20 people right there if you make a good post, right? So you could write a post that attracts people to you. It could mean if you have a big email list, just emailing the opportunity out to your list. Or you could send in an email to your list and you say, I've got something that I really want to show you, but I want to make sure that you're interested in it. So if you're interested in this and you describe a little bit what it is, but be ambiguous so they can't look it up, go ahead and send me an email and say, give me the information, and I'll personally send it to you. Right? And actually, that would actually probably work a lot better than just blasting it out. It's just that if you have a big list, that might not work because it would take a lot of manual time, and people with big lists generally don't have time to respond to 1,000 emails that come in, so it's better to just mail a link. So you can mail a link out to your list. But if you don't have a big list, let's say your list is like 500 people, you could email your list and say, hey, I've got something really exciting I want you to take a look at. I'm looking for a handful of people to run with this year or in 2025, right? And if you really want to make some money, what I want you to do is I want you to hit reply, send me an email and say, give me the information, right? And it would be helpful if in that email you include your phone number and best time to reach you, because I might email you and I might give you a call. It just depends on how busy I am, right? And if you send a list out to like 500 people like that, you're going to get like 30 people that'll email you and say, yeah, I would like, what's up? What's going on? Right? And those people, because they emailed you, will be very responsive when you send them a link. So you say, you respond back, you say, hey, look, we don't got a lot of time right now, so what I want you to do is very quickly go to this page, put in your information, and lock in your spot. And then once you've done that, go ahead and tell me, and we'll pop on a call. And so they go and they lock their spot in, and then you give them a call, and you say, what did you like best about what you saw? Right? Well, yeah, I like the fact that you're saving money. Okay, so you like that you're saving money. Tell me more about that. So these are the ways to do it, right? What do you like best about what you saw? Tell me more about that. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being I'm not interested, and 10 being I'm ready to get started right now, where do you fit? If they say 7 or above, right, you just say, welcome aboard. How do you want your name spelled on your checks? They tell you, and you say, here's what I want you to do. I want you to log in and write that name in exactly like that in the order form, and let's go ahead and submit your order. And you just sign them up, right? This is very compressed training, right? Obviously, we could go, I think next week we should come back on the training and just talk about closing sales and signing people up. I think that'd be fair. This is kind of like a higher overview of culture, which is what I said I'd actually cover last week. And I think next week it would be fair if we came on and I showed you how do you turn your free signups into paid signups 80% of the time. And I think if we cover that, I think that no matter who you are, you can start getting results at the next level. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this training tonight. I think most people actually stayed on the training. There wasn't tons of people on it because, again, I got it out late. But we do have this on Mondays. I'm going to do this at least, for the next while. I'll at least do it for the next 90 days. I don't know if I'll do it forever. But if you guys have any questions or anything I can help you with, let me know in the comments, and I'm happy to answer questions or help you with something for the next 5 or 10 minutes.